Hey everyone, Gretchen Wegner here from the Anti-Boring Approach to Powerful Studying. And I'm wondering, do you sometimes find yourself completely overwhelmed by PowerPoints and figuring out how do I study for tests when teachers just give me pages and pages and pages of slides? I have been getting a ton of questions from folks who work with med students, vet students, graduate students, legal students, all these kinds of professional preparation programs where there is a ton of content that you have to memorize. And these days, this content is often delivered on a PowerPoint. But those PowerPoints, like one lecture, can sometimes be 60, 70, 80 slides, and times that by 10 lectures. That's a whole heck of a lot of information that all kind of looks the same because PowerPoints, slide after slide often look the same. So what suggestions do I make to these folks? I have created some whiteboards as I usually do. Let's see, is the camera gonna flip it? I don't know if I did this right. We'll have to see. My suggestion here, as you can see on the top, is to create a one-page cheat sheet for yourself. Every PowerPoint lecture should be a one-page cheat sheet. And then if you have 10 lectures, for example, then you have 10 one-page cheat sheets, which is much easier to study than 10 70 slide decks. So I want to look at each of these suggestions one by one, and then I'll show you the whole thing again in a moment. So my first suggestion for our more linear thinkers is to just create a one-page outline in the traditional, like Roman numeral 1, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, Roman numeral 2, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, just based on the headings of the slides if you need to. You can use the teacher's format, or you can even look at the slides and see what is the right kind of when I say right, I mean what is it different? Like the teacher laid it out one way. What is it a new way that you see all the different slides relate to each other, and you can create your own outline based on that. But regardless, see if you can have it fit on one page so that you can, the goal here, the overall goal of the one-page cheat sheet is to be able to see the whole structure of the slide deck. And if you blink, you just look at it and you have a visual image of how this information all connects to each other. So traditional Roman numeral outline is one way to go. Another way is to create a chart and to look at the information and see what kind, if there are, let's say that the slide deck, you're learning anatomy, and the slide deck is a particular part of the body, but let's say you're a veterinary student, and so you have different animals, like dogs, whatever, the cats, different animals here. And let's say that you're learning about different bones in the torso region. I mean, I have no idea how a vet curriculum is set up, but each column might be for a different place in the body, let's say. And then each slide, and then there's for the cat, what's the name of the bone in that part of the body? For the dog, what's the name of the bone in this part of the body, right? So you're creating a one-page chart that just gets an overview of the information. You're not going to get all the details, but it's the overview that we want. And it's the time spent thinking about what this might look like. So outline, chart. The next thing is create some kind of a visual map. I drew my example here as a flow chart, but a map could look like anything, right? It's like a PowerPoint is kind of like a journey that you are taking. It's kind of like going on a road trip through a bunch of information. So what are the different stops on the way? What is the actual highway that is the spine or the central through line of the information? How can you capture all of that in a map of the information? So again, just on one page, my little squiggly lines here are writing, right? Because those might be the titles of the PowerPoint slides, or it might be you notice that, the first 3 slides are kind of like stopping at a city. And the topic of those first 3 slides is introductory information, things you need to know before you dive into this aspect of JavaScript. For example, I have a student who is a computer science major, and oh my God, their PowerPoints are completely foreign language to me. And in her case, the Java PowerPoints are teaching her a process, like how to code. So hers is literally a flow map. First you do this, then you do that. If this works, go there. If that doesn't work, go there. So she might actually create something like this for her class. The last example I wanted to give is see if you can find an image, like during the lecture, when you're being exposed to the information for the first time, ask yourself, like, what is a central image I can use for this information? And for some reason, when I was drawing out these whiteboards, the image of a snowman came to mind, because snowmen have like three different pieces to them. And so maybe you even think through, oh yeah, there are three main points and in this PowerPoint lecture. And so and you could actually label it with words, or you could just kind of draw it out. And then as you review the PowerPoint, you might just think like, are these the head? Like maybe there's head, heart, and action items, because, you know, the bottom half of the body, if you're not a snowman, has legs and you can walk and that sort of thing. Or it might be like, what's the foundational information? And what is the more heart-oriented information? And then what is the more heady information? You know, what we're looking for here is to grab the power of metaphor. A lot of teachers don't teach using metaphors, but if you, the student, can look for a metaphor, even though, like, let's say you're learning legal terminology. Snowmen have nothing to do with legal terminology, but that is exactly why an image, especially if it's kind of a weird image, can be super powerful way to grab your learning and put it on one page. So I just wanted to show you my 4 different options. There are many more options other than these 4 here. These are just the first 4 I thought of when I was creating this video. So use your creativity. Figure out how in 5 or 10 minutes even, if you don't have a lot of time, can you just briefly look over the PowerPoint, imagine which one of these you might like to use, even if you don't actually take the time to write out the chart. Just imagining that chart, a chart is what you would create if you do have the time, really helps you take all of this crazy information from the PowerPoint and clump and chunk it down into manageable pieces. Good luck with that. I have a lot more information about this in my Anti-Boring Approach to Powerful Studying online course for students, and then also in the Art of Inspiring Students to Study Strategically, which is my course for teachers. Feel free to email me if you want more information about any of that, or if you just have a follow-up question. Gretchen@gretchenwegner.com. See y'all in the next video. Bye.